Hi, I'm Everett. Welcome back to the shop. Finally getting to the Uncle Tim project that I've been meaning to get to for a while. He asked a while, not that long ago, about it and how it was coming along, so I figured I should probably get to it and get it done for him. It's to make the 6 axles for the little 6x6 amphibious ATV. I don't have a picture of the actual unit, but he did give me some pictures of one of the original sales brochures. So I'll show that in a moment here. A couple other fun things. One thing is I finally got in the mail the other day another sticker. Thank you, Harold, Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'll put a link to his page below. He's a really neat guy. Fun to watch his stuff. He's just very down to earth. Someday I want to get to Texas and meet him. He seems like a really cool guy. Otherwise, the other fun thing this week is I got myself a new secondary camera. Another eBay find, so I got it nice and cheap. Again, trying to keep it on a budget. I managed to get this one reasonably cheap. It doesn't take an external microphone, so I still have to use this Canon as my primary, but hopefully the secondary shots will be a lot clearer. My little JVC, for whatever reason, seems to be, even when it's trying to focus, it's focused, but everything's kind of blurry and it doesn't come out right on the actual rendering. I've tried a number of settings. I've just pretty much given up on it. So that was a fun find. Hopefully it'll make a difference for everybody watching, because maybe the secondary camera angles, hopefully they'll be a little bit better. So as far as the axles, this is the axle that I was holding up when I was starting a couple videos ago. I was explaining what I was going to do, in that I needed to make the little fly cutter to make a nice job on the drill jig to make this guy. The axle here is just a hair over 25 inches long, in the neighborhood of about 25 1/8, just a hair under. So here's our plan. Again, I took my distances and measurements off of this piece to make the drawing, and so I have all my dimensions. So this here is the original, well, a copy of the original advertisement for this thing. Again, new A3 series for 1971. Yeah, it tells you how old this is. These units used to be actually made and built in Edmonton, the area here, and they were, yeah, they were kind of like very, very similar to what we know of as the Argo nowadays. Same basic idea. So my Uncle Tim needs some axle shafts made for this thing for one of his buddies. So that's basically what it's going to go on. I don't have a picture of the machine itself, but this is the best I got for you. This one here is 2 7/8, and this one here is 2 1/2 in diameter. This one here we're going to leave as a 1/4 inch. That's why I have some 1/4 inch cold roll in 3 inch. And then the flange, we're going to make a little bit thicker. I have some 5/16, not 1/4 inch. To start with, we're going to have to use the bandsaw and cut a bunch of pieces. It would be really easy just to zap flanges out of the plate here, or the bar stock, using a plasma table or a water jet or whatever, but I don't have one. So we're going to have to do this kind of old school. We're going to cut squares and then knock the corners off, and then we're going to weld that to the shaft and then turn it around in the lathe. Well, there's one. Just need to do this 5 more times. Alrighty, 11 more times like that, and we'll have our plates. I'll bring it back in when they're all cut. So what I need to do now is lay out what the plate is going to look like on one of each of the different thicknesses of plate. I'm only going to do one of each. You'll see why as we carry on here. So to start with, we're going to take and find the center of each plate. Yep, good enough. There we go. The 3/8 plate has to be 2 1/2 inches across. So we'll do 1.25 inches. Again, that little circle there, if you can see it, I get the light just right. That's just going to be a roughing or an idea of where we need to be. And then this one here is 2 inch, well, 2 7/8, so we need 1 7/16. There we are. Because this isn't really a precision operation for the drilling of the hole through the center, and I really just need to get a bunch of them done, this is the reason why I only marked out a couple of them to start with. And so what I've done is I've set up, just loosen this off for a minute, set up the parallels. I've just used a couple of the clamping step blocks and a clamp here. I'm going to use that as my work stop. And as long as all of my parts have the X to the top left from where I'm standing, then they'll all be repeatable. One of the biggest reasons for this is changing speeds on this mill is a bit of a nuisance at times because of changing belts, etc. And I have 12 plates to do. So slide that down. Bring the pointer down. You can see it's hitting the center point right where it needs to be. Okay, you get the basic idea. I'm going to have to do this for all 12 of them, and then we're going to move on to the next step. We've worked our way backward through the stack, and so now we're going to go forwards through the stack again, with this time with the 1 inch drill bit. Actually, that was reasonably painless. So there we go, a 1 inch hole. Yeah, I'll bring you back in after. What I did was I took a piece of the scrap leftover rod from cutting that 1 inch round bar, and it fits just nice and snugly through the center of them all with this, you know, a couple of them are actually a little bit of resistance just because of the internal burrs. Now this little clamp here will get moved as time goes on. That pin's purpose is for setup, because now I can just set this here. If I wanted to just do 1 or 2 of these, I'd take it to the bandsaw and knock the corners off, but considering how many I have to work with, this is going to be the most reasonable way of doing it. So there we go. This is the first block of plates done. It's not a perfect octagon, but it doesn't need to be. I just wanted to take most of the corners off to make it a little easier when it comes to doing the lathe work. But yeah, works out reasonably well. So what all I need to do now is we're going to do the same operation on the thicker plates for the actual flanges. These are going to be the reinforcing plates, the thinner ones. So I'll just do all the other stack off camera and bring you back in when I'm just about done. So the next thing we need to do is make sure that all the shafts are at the right length. They've been rough cut. Should be just about 1/8 of an inch longer than necessary. The ends are by no means square. So what we're going to do with each of these shafts is, to start with, we're going to square up one end. Just have to square up the one end to start with, and then we're going to make sure that they're all to the correct length. Chamfer, so that end's square. What we're going to do is we're going to flip this around, and on this end here, now that it's square, we're going to push it through and then use a 1, 2, 3 block against the end of the spindle. Using a 1, 2, 3 block against the end of the spindle bore allows me to make sure that it's butted right up against the end of the, or in line with the end of the spindle bore. End of the spindle, that is. And I happen to know, just from previous use of this lathe and the measurements and such, that I happen to know that the face of this 3-jaw chuck to the end of the spindle is within a few thousandths of 19 inches. So because it's within a few thousandths of 19 inches, I can see right here, I mean, this I can now use a ruler for. This will be close enough for what we're doing. Yeah, I can see we need to take, oh, yeah, about 1/8. Yeah, we'll call that 6 1/8. We're within one of these line widths of 6 1/8. It's not that I don't care about precision, like I've said before. It's just certain things, like on this shaft here, for example. I know Uncle Tim mentioned that overall length we had a little bit of forgiveness, so I just want to make it as close to spec as possible. The biggest reason for the chamfer is just so we don't have a really sharp corner there when I'm working on it, because we're going to be welding on one of these ends. We're going to have to clean it up after after cleaning up the bead anyway, so that's really not super critical. So there's one shaft cut to length, one shaft to length, and with the ends dressed. I got 5 more to go. I'll bring you back in after. Well, it's funny how Murphy strikes when you don't really anticipate it, and yeah, Uncle Tim came by a day or two ago and wondering where his shafts were, so I figured I should probably get back to this. It's just trying to find time around things is kind of fun. So finally back at it after a few days. The thing is, I go to start putting stuff together and get my microphone on, and well, I walked by the milling machine and the cord snagged. I didn't realize it was sticking out of my pocket, so well, like the picture shows, the couple of leads got torn off inside the plug, so had to tear it apart and fix my microphone and my cordless mic before I could continue. So what I've done is I've cleaned up all the plates, the hot rolled and then the cold rolled, and then degreased all the shafts. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start by tacking with the TIG, but because I want really good penetration, I think I'm going to finish off using the stick welder. The front edge of the thinner plates, the 1/4 inch reinforcing plates, need to be 4.55 inches from this end of the shaft. Well, what I think I'm going to do is I have a V-block here. I'm going to clamp the V-block to the shaft at 4.8 inches, and what that'll do is that will allow me to slide this plate, I'll clamp it down using my aluminum clamp. I can't believe I'm still using this. This is a lot of fun. I made this in high school, cast the frame in the high school metal shop. This is, yeah, I know I see some pitting and such, but yeah, I made this from bar stock and cast frame. And well, Mr. Marcet, if you're watching this, I'm still using this thing. I have been for the last 20 some odd years as a mechanic, so thanks, Mr. Marcet. Again, this is a cheaper set of V-blocks. I don't want to use my good ones for this. There we are, that's 4.8. Yeah, there we go, 4.8 inches. So now I can take the thin plate, the 1/4 inch one, slide it on, then take my smaller clamp. So yeah, so that'll sit there, and then once that's tacked on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the thicker plate, and it needs to go 1/8 of an inch from the end, right about there, 1/8 of an inch from the very end, and we'll tack that guy in place too. What I want to do is I want to tack all the shaft plates together, the shafts and plates together first, then I'm going to do the finish welding. What I'm doing here is, as I tack, I'm actually going to clamp the ground straight to the little plate. Reason for that is I don't want the ground to have to go through the V-block to get to the plate itself. Nice thing is I can just rest the cup here. All right. So we got that first plate tacked in place. Now we're going to get the thicker plate and stick it in place up top. Okay, clamping is the same idea as before, and I can turn like this, and I should be able to ground now through the table. So a few tacks in here. There you go. There's the basic idea. These plates don't have to be indexed or clocked or anything to each other in particular, because they're going to get turned around in the end anyway. But yeah, I think that looks pretty darn good to start with. So we'll use that for our tacks. I just need to do this to, well, 5 more shafts. I'll do that off camera, and then we'll bring you in for the next step. Well, full Murphy disclosure here, or bozo, or whoever you want to invoke when you screw up. Yeah, turns out that when I had done some measurements and was writing it down, I should not have actually been measuring 4.55 inches from the end of the shaft to the top of the block. Because 4.8, because it should have been 4.55 from the top of here to the top of the block, not 4.8. I added the thickness of the plate. I had it wrong on my print. That I screwed up. So I've since fixed that. I took this to the lathe, peeled off the tacks. This is the first one I did, and I readjusted where it was sitting. So now this is the correct spot. Now I'm going to tack them all in place. You've seen how I basically am going to do it. So I'm just going to tack all 6 of them. Thankfully, I only was to the point of tacking this one together, and I realized I was wrong. So disaster averted. And yeah, so I'll tack them all together, and then I'll finish welding them. I'm just glad I caught my little mistake when I did, because otherwise I would have been cutting all of these off and redoing them. Like I say, I'm only human. Miracles cost extra. I've seen other guys who I respect a lot have stuff go sideways on them, so I don't feel so bad. Anyway, tomorrow's another day.